They're literally poisoning our children and calling it breakfast cereal. But it goes so much deeper than that. From the gender products in your bathroom to the medicines in your cabinet, we're surrounded by marketing designed to keep us sick and dependent. This is part 2 of our investigation into the propaganda machine that's targeting your family. Monday, shamanic guide Crystallite, herbalist Sarah B., musician Evan Sturgeon, and Jade from Jade's Wellness Trade are exposing exactly how these companies manipulate us. But here's what makes this different. We're not just pointing out problems. We're sharing plant-based alternatives, ethically sourced solutions, and holistic knowledge that actually works. You'll discover which ingredients to avoid, how marketing tricks target your kids, and most importantly, what to use instead. Real solutions from people who've dedicated their lives to wellness, not profit. Join us live on Sacred Kingdom's YouTube channel, Monday, February 2nd at 2:22 p.m. Eastern, because your family deserves the truth.
Hello, grand day, and thank you all for tuning in and tapping into this fresh new episode of episode 2, but part 2 of Whispers of Wellness Organic Home Living. And this episode is going to be a continuation from where we left off when it came to talking about what is going on with the chemical compounds as well as the products and the ingredients that are aimed specifically towards the children when this comes to pharmaceuticals and the side effects on the neurological system, as well as the brain chemistry and other functions, as well as the different ingredients in the foods that are also having effect on their children and their behaviors and the way that they're able to regulate and function. On top of this, keep in mind that, these chemicals are also affecting all of us, no matter what age, what gender, what culture, or what background. These chemicals can have a negative effect on all of us. So along with that, we are also going to be talking about, kind of like the propaganda and what to look for when it comes to the intentional marketing towards children, and how to ultimately educate and bring awareness to our children in a conscious and sacred way of how they can become aware for their own self of how these things are happening and what kind of potential side effects can take place, so that we can then educate them so that they can have a true conscious awareness of why we're doing this for them, as well as why they should maybe consider being open to trying healthier ways of life. So then after we talk about our children, we are then going to be shifting over into what I feel like is something that is not talked about enough and could really use a lot more emphasis in this world, and that is what the chemicals are doing when it comes to whether we are a male or a female, but more specifically, how these chemicals are geared towards disrupting different parts of our hormone systems, as well as the regulation and the functioning of our being when it comes to being a male or a female. So we're going to be touching on female products from makeup, birth control, tampons, and things of that nature. And then for the males, we'll be talking about propaganda such as toxic masculinity, as well as body washes and soaps like Axe and Old Spice, and what kind of chemicals are inside of these ingredients. So that is going to be our episode for today. as we are on part 2 of episode 2. And let's go ahead and take a rewind into the last episode so you guys can see where we left off and where we'll be picking up as we continue forward.
Many contain ingredients banned in other countries. Artificial dyes linked to behavioral issues. Preservatives that disrupt gut health.
Because of the unique susceptibility children have. They are in critical periods of development. Exposure to pollutants, exposure to chemicals may have a much greater impact than it does later in life. And so it's really critical to minimize that exposure, minimize the potential harm from contaminants.
Unfortunately, in today's world, children are exposed to a lot of potentially harmful things. They're exposed to air pollution, which causes asthma and other respiratory diseases. They're exposed to pesticides. Those pesticides can cause damage to the infant's developing brain.
Like essential oils are natural, essentially. So they would take the way that... So I'll explain synthetic fragrance first. The way they make synthetic fragrance, they take it in a lab, and they either take like fragrances from animals or like plants and stuff, and then they'll put them in like these like little containers, you know, and they add chemicals and stuff to make them last longer and be like more of a product, so they can make more money off it in the long run.
Like, man, what does this stuff even mean? Like, you know, it's so good you're explaining this stuff, you know? So that's what a phthalate is basically, huh? Is like a synthetic fragrance, basically?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I always wonder, what is a phthalate? And first of all, who the heck thought of that the way it's spelt? But now I understand exactly what it is. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's like a petrol-derived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's a gas of some sort, you know?
Right.
And then it's turned into a chemical, which is in return into liquid. Food additives and certain food colorings. Food and storage, like foil, pots and pans, and other cookware, some of them leak into our food.
Just to piggyback on that right there is exactly the cause of Alzheimer's and dementia, and even like certain ADD, ADHD, and even some autistic traits that come along because it disrupts your neurons. Your neurons.
And then so when you add a preservative in a combination shot, such as an MMR, DTaP, TDAP, such as those, they put polysorbate AB80 in there, and then it inadvertently opens the blood-brain barrier as well, and then metals get into the brain, which also short-circuit the brain.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff traces back to heavy metals with problems that we're seeing right now.
Not the good heavy metal either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Jade, thank you so much for kind of dropping us off with that last sentence that you had, which was about the effect on the nervous system and what that means for the transferring of information. I mean, that's huge. Like, when you understand how significant the nervous system is to being able to basically like conduct and transmit your electrical current, which is connected to your spirit body, which is connected to your higher self.
Food dyes like red 40 and yellow 6 and blue 5 and like all that, that's petrol derived, right? The polyester, that's petrol derived, right? The pesticides are petrol derived, right?
Cheetos.
It's all stuff that is designed to disrupt your endocrine system and to... A lot of pesticides are actually patented as antibiotics. Anti meaning against or to kill, biotic mean life.
Yep. Fact.
I'll leave it at that.
Fact. Mic drop.
Yeah.
And with that,
we're
going to take a commercial break. Oh, that's a commercial break right there. That's how you have a commercial break, educating people on what's in these chemicals. So that was where we were in our last episode last month. And now we're going to pick up from where we left off and continue in part 2 of this children and gender propaganda as we continue to open up and unfold these hidden layers and what it is that is behind the purpose, the intention, and the knowledge of what this is taking place in our world. And, we may want to turn our cheeks to these things. We may want to go into denial. We may experience cognitive dissonance when we come across this kind of information. And know that there's no judgment in this space, and that all that we're sharing is because it is from our hearts. It's from our hearts, and it is from the awareness of what we have either experienced or have become aware of. And a lot of us here are also parents, and we have children that are affected by these different things that are being consumed and put into their bloodstream. So there's a lot of things that are very blatantly clear that, we're experiencing a lot of side effects, and we're having a lot of negativity when it comes to illness, disease, cancer, diabetes, and many other things that has really ran rampant over the years. So we're here to help kind of uncover the roots behind these things and figure out for ourselves, and also give you an opportunity out of your own free will with the knowledge that we share to either take it or leave it and decide on how you want to move forward for yourself and your loved ones. So that we're here, and we are the Sacred Kingdom community. We're international community of visionaries, artists, practitioners, shamans that are space holders and want to be able to be a bridge for heaven on earth, and to allow every individual to have that remembrance that they are a divine soul from the source that is experiencing and is here on a journey and is able to do it with free will of freedom and abundance in their life. And that is all we're really here for, is to help you guys be able to access that and have more of that on your journey. So with that being said, let's go ahead and watch a little preview of the beginning topic for this episode, which is going to be about the side effect of pharmaceuticals and different consumed products on our children. And then we're going to welcome the rest of the Sacred Kingdom on as we're going to kick off and get started.
A lot of parents wonder about the long-term effects of medication when they have a child with ADHD who needs to be treated for a long time, and they're right to question it. We don't really know the long-term effects because it's very difficult to study systematically treated and non-treated children, but so far we have no evidence that they cause any ill effects. How can we tell? We have a lot of studies now, quite a few studies of children who were treated and followed into young adulthood and now into adulthood. We ourselves have followed up children for 33 years. They're now 41 years old on average. And we don't see differences between those who are treated and untreated with regard to medical illness or to other function. We can see no untoward consequences. There are untoward consequences of the disorder. And to that extent, you have to weigh the benefits of treating something and letting it be, because it can have very negative consequences if you do not treat it at the time.
All right. So, that right there was literally from the horse's mouth. Like, we're talking about MDH, top level professional when it comes to health and medical. And she's even explaining that children can have long-term side effects from these pharmaceuticals. So, this ain't just like a mythological woo-woo type of talk from a bunch of hippies. This is a very real, scientifically backed thing that our human biology is being affected by these synthetic and artificial compounds that are not organic to our being. And, we can go into conspiratorial, we can go into facts, we can do blaming, or we can just be real about the facts and the truth and just take it for what it is as human beings and know that through this information, we are able to then become more conscious and to make better choices for ourselves and for our loved ones. And that, again, is all we're really here for. We can go on for days about the blaming. We can talk about the shadow government. We can talk about the cabal, all these different things. But with all of it being said, it's going to come down to what is it that you are going to do in your home, in your daily life? Are you going to continue to consume these things? Are you going to continue to give these products to your children as well and bypass the responsibility? Or are you going to educate yourself, try and experience things that could be potentially better, and also help out your children and giving them a little bit more awareness and guidance as they're going to grow, and then they're going to be the ones to seed the next generations and then continue that as well. So with that being said, let's go on and welcome on the rest of the members of the Sacred Kingdom that are going to be joining us for this episode. Welcome on Evan, welcome Sarah, and welcome Cricket. Good to see you guys.
Hello, happy Moon Day 2-2 Portal Day.
Yes, it is 2-2 Portal Day.
Yeah, happy 2-2, everybody.
Happy 2-2.
We out here.
February is going to be a very hot month for everybody too. We got
going through them, opening them, falling through them, all the things.
Uh-oh. You're lagging over there, Evan. But yeah, guys, we have a full eclipse season in the month of February this year. And that doesn't happen all the time. So, we have a partial eclipse coming up for the new moon. And then at the end of February, we are going to be having a full total lunar eclipse, blood moon. And this will be the last one until December of 2028. So this is a big, big month of portals and activations and transformation. And we're also stepping into the closeout of the official 9-year with Chinese New Year coming up in a couple of weeks. When Chinese New Year comes up in a couple of weeks, that's when we then transition out of the actual numerological 1 year or 9-year. And then we move into the 1 year, which is what we are like. Basically, it's like we're in the 1 year, if you're going into the Gregorian. But if you're going by Chinese New Year, then we are basically still building up and moving into that 1 year fully. So it's a powerful month. And I just want to say, just be aware, when there's powerful portals, when there's powerful opportunities for us as spiritual beings, there's also going to be propaganda. There's also going to be grabbing your attention. There's also going to be jerking your heart. There's also going to be testing your triggers. So just remember that, as we go through this, we can either continue to feed our energy into things that are very divisive and very dense and very stress orienting on our being, or we can kind of go into more of the creator and the builder mode and continue to do the things that we've been doing with those that we love. And there's a balance, there's a fine line between it all. And of course, it's not to say to bypass anything in life, but to really find that balance for yourself of what is truly healthy for you and what is actually consuming you and overtaking your spiritual energy as well. So big month of February, guys. So remember your intentions, and just remember that you are in a illusionary matrix, and that there is something for you to weave within everything that's happening, although it really all makes no sense and it's quite chaotic. I will definitely say.
Oh, isn't that the point of the Matrix, is to keep you busy?
What's that?
I said, isn't that the point of the Matrix, is to keep us busy and thinking about things that don't matter?
Yep.
Chaos brings rebirth, though.
Ultimately, I say
degree.
the Matrix.
Yep.
I almost say that the Matrix is more so, it's more so kind of like what we make it to be, I feel like. The Matrix is something that is based off of our vibration and like the things that we're putting out.
Well,
So,
no, absolutely.
the Matrix is going to be a part of life always, because everything has a matrix. But what matrix are you tuning into is the key, I feel like. Are you attuning to a matrix that is negative, destructive, violent, constantly controlling, things of that nature? Or are you in a matrix that's of your sovereignty and you feel like you're in tune with, a Christ conscious matrix?
Well,
I love this type of combo.
and there's, real quickly, let me just say, there's the $5 million question, right? How much of the percentage of the country or the world still tunes into the broadcasters who propagate those type of things? You know what I mean? So I'm so happy for us to be here today, helping to inspire the positive alternative to that.
Yes, that's what it's all about.
Yep.
And that's one thing about us, for everybody out there, is,
Absolutely.
one thing about all of us here in this community, for everybody out there, is that yes, we do talk about problems and we talk about issues that are happening in the world, and we talk about really all levels of it, including economical, political, things of that nature as well, because it's all whole. We're all a part of this stuff and it's all part of our living. But not only do we talk about it and we do go into the depths of darkness to expose things, but we also come from a place that is not of fear. We also come from a place where it is about illumination and awareness. And it's also for self-empowerment of your own consciousness, to be able to make more aware choices of what it is you're interacting with and what kind of opportunities you have to be able to, break out of the boxes, break out of the limitations and the things that are causing, the stress and depression and just all of the negative things in your life.
True freedom is
there's
knowing
always
choices,
a way.
right?
As Evan says over there, there's a will, there's a way, and there's always a will to be able to change.
Absolutely.
Sorry about interrupting there.
That's what that song is all about.
No, you're good, Sarah. We're just all lagging over here.
Yeah, it was like,
oh, thank you.
Oops. I just wanted to say, true freedom is knowledge and the power that comes with that, and that's why we're all here, is to help others be steered towards the correct, knowledge. Because now that we know, you can make a choice. This is a free will planet, after all. If you choose to continue to do the same thing, okay. At least you knew that was your choice, right?
True.
I always say no such thing as problems or mistakes, only learning lessons, unless you choose to make them a problem or mistake.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, for sure, that too. Yeah.
It's like that J. Cole quote in one of his songs, Forest Hill Drive, that song, where he says, "Fool me one time, shame on you. Fool me two times, shame on me. spoil me 3 times, then after that, it's like, okay, who's really at blame when you
WTF.
continuously have been told the truth over and over?
That's the WTF phase. What? Okay, this is the 3rd time. I must be wanting this. There must be a deeper lesson here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that circles around to trust in your intuition and learn.
That's also like
how to
typically
discern.
Go ahead, Evan.
That circles around to being able to trust your intuition and detoxing all the heavy metals and stuff out of you so that pineal gland can be open. That way you can see through the bullshit. That way you can know whenever they're trying to come at you with some lies, because your gut's going to tell you something's off here. And your spirit knows, man. Your spirit always knows. And there ain't no lying to the spirit. It's going to see right through it all. So that's why we're here.
Yep.
100%. That part right there.
I think, let me say real quick, Evan, on that before I lose this thought. And I feel like we may have spoken on this before. It resonates to me, but I feel like every little tiny piece of these toxins makes the whole puzzle work. Like the aluminum, barium, strontium in the air, for example, helps keep the the body congested, so the calcium channels are blocked up and don't get their thing. And that's messed up from this ingredient, and then your gut biome is messed up from the glyphosate. It all makes the perfect puzzle. Do you know what I mean?
It targets every single bit of it. Yeah.
It's been strategically done. Like, okay, I was watching a really awesome little series about Phoenix, Arizona from the 40s through the 70s. And I was marveling about the people in the 70s. They're all healthy. They're all thin. They're all fit. So fast forward how many years and how many years of glyphosate use, and now look at America. We're sitting here talking about this, right?
Yeah, they didn't start changing the food system in a big way with glyphosate and stuff until 1996, which means that I'm 31, so 2 years after I was born was whenever that started. So, like, my generation and the generation that comes after me, we don't have any idea what our actual food system actually was before we were fucking born. So,
it took three years to basically destroy the immune systems of Americans. Look at us.
Yeah, absolutely. And to touch on the intuition thing, that's why they introduced fluoride to the fucking water system when they did, because it is the byproduct of aluminum, for those who don't know, and it is one of the things that can pass the blood-brain barrier and get into your pineal gland, and it calcifies your pineal gland to where that's the seat of the soul, man. If that's all gunked up and it has like all this hard calcification on it, you're not going to be able to see through the bullshit. You're not going to be able to discern with your intuition, and your spirit's not going to be able to recognize what's true and what isn't, what's being thrown at you. So they've done a bang up job calculating exactly what they're putting in the water and in the food and in the vaccines and the pharmaceuticals. And this is why we're here talking about this stuff, to help not only the parents but also the children who are coming up now to get rid of this stuff out of their body and how to avoid it. And I mean, there's hardly any avoiding it at this point. It's just being more conscious of like what you choose to buy and what you can install in your home to help mitigate this stuff, like shower filters and stuff like that, So it's well done. I applaud them, but at the same time, I'm giving the middle finger because it's irritating. But
if you really think about it, like if you think back to like biblical times and all of that, people lived to be hundreds of years old. And then the more that they tried to heal us and make us healthier, the shorter our lifespans got. So
absolutely,
what are we really doing here?
Well, yeah, and let me just say, this is all meant with no disrespect or shame to anybody. We're all in the same boat.
Absolutely.
We're just ready to talk about it,
Absolutely. Yeah, no, the reason that, personally for me, why I want to talk about it so much is because I lived it, and I've been sick, and I've seen my child suffer, and I've seen other children suffer, and I'm personally sick of it. Sick of being sick, tired of being tired, and like overseeing the people we all love and care about suffer for the greed of big corporations that they're the only ones that profit from this stuff. The rest of us don't. So need to level up the playing field a little bit more. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is one of the big solutions out of here for sure.
Amen. My son's journey led me here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my journey kind of led me here too. It's just like
Yeah.
once I started taking pharmaceutical medications, it was like, okay, take this for this problem, and then you get this other problem. They're like, okay, well, we got to take this for this problem. And it was to the point where I was taking like 9 different medications just because of the problems I got from the first one that they gave me. It's like, okay,
Right.
yeah, I'm just not going to take none of it.
Yeah,
and that's
man.
when all the problems start happening, when your body gets
Yeah, and for me personally, I went through no like extreme health issues. A lot of it for me was about outside observation and just really learning from my environment and learning from how I saw the effects of the daily living of my parents and just everybody in American society. And
A second. Go
I
ahead.
think also too, through different soul journeys, we acquire certain knowledge within our soul, and we come into this life, and sometimes we're more naturally in tune with what's organic for us because of the information that we have picked up on before. And also too, for me, this new clear differences when I started going through different diets. And for me, I'm a preventative type of person. I like to try to be preventative rather than, wait and find out. And then you're in the midst of full suffering. For me, it's always about prevention and having routines and things like that. So in 2014, I really started just experimenting with different diets. I started doing vegetarian, pescatarian. I then went raw vegan. I also tried Ayurvedic as well. And just experiencing all the different diets, I felt like I experienced what there was to offer. And I was able to feel what felt best for me personally on my journey. And for me, it's being plant-based. To me, it makes really no sense to consume like minced meats, especially after learning about what red meats have effect on when it comes to the body, as well as the slowing down of your digestion and so much more. And then also too, learning about, the way that the dairy's handled in this country and the way that it has an effect on cancer and mucus, and also learning about Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi is a great influence and great guide when it comes to health and nutrition. And I just say, like, with all this being said, just really like experience for yourself and see what feels best for your body, your emotions, your mental clarity. It will tell you every day as soon as you eat something or consume something if it is having a positive effect for you.
Absolutely. And I want to piggyback on that by saying that, like, though I did spend a lot of time sick, one of the big things was watching my dad go through a lot of health problems. They had him on 31 pills a day at one point, and it was all stuff that had been taken care of with cannabis years later whenever I gave him CBD and a little bit of edibles, and he got rid of all of them. And there were times where, like, he didn't get up out of bed for days on end, or like he'd be so out of it that, like, I mean, I was raising myself, you know, for a good bit of time, and seeing that and going through that, it made me wonder, like, what is the point of piling on all these pills? Because, like, they're saying that this is for this and this is for that, and then, like, whenever you add in this, it creates side effects that you have to add this in for, and then that adds in side effects that this comes in for, and so on and so forth. They just keep piling on and on and on, like he was saying, Cricket. And it's a business plan, man. That it's all very well calculated as a business plan. Even OSC, the Cortez chick that's in the government right now, she just bombshelled this dude in a fucking hearing the other day about CVS and Aetna and an insurance company and everything all being owned by the same people. And it's like, well, if you own all the same shit, fucking prices
Monopolizing.
for the pharmaceuticals. You could
Lagging pretty bad, Evan.
Yeah, he's kind of gone.
Yeah.
He's frozen.
Uh-oh.
Turn the heater
Can't handle
on.
its fire.
I'm suffering over here, guys. I had a sage burning and it got to me. It was like, that's where I went for a minute. I was like, I gotta open the window. Woo.
Oh, snap.
Okay, Evan.
Sarah can't handle the positive energy.
Oh no, I love it. It's great.
Oh. All right. Technical difficulties tonight.
Looks like it.
So funny. So.
Well, what he was saying.
With that being
totally
said,
right.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this would be a great way to kind of move into what I feel like, Sarah, you have a lot of experience and knowledge with, and that is kind of counteracting these side effects and bringing alternatives to, you know, ADHD and all these different symptoms that our children can have in this world. What are some of your experiences with your son and some of the knowledge that you can share when it comes to alternatives from these ADHD medicines, as well as other chemicals that are dysregulating our children?
Well, this is a very vast topic / story because I've been very dedicated to this along my journey with my son. You know, I guess I can start the whole conversation quickly. I'll give you a quick idea of how it kind of looked in our lives and how it, you know, displayed itself. So when my son was being screened for pre-K, you know, so let me back up. I had been completely following all the guidelines and recommendations for the childhood vaccine schedule since day one. This was a time in my life where I did not have any information and I didn't know I needed information. I had no idea, right? And I don't mean this in any disrespectful way, but I was, quote, asleep, unquote, if you will. I didn't know, right? I mean, I always had an idea there was something not quite right, but I never really understood the depth at all. You know, not at all, right? So anyway, everything was, you know, okay. When my son had I can look at the exact day, his second dose of his MMR on his wellness visit. I believe he was 3.5 in there. They also gave a couple other shots that day, and I forget, I could look exactly, but they were 2 other combination shots. So there was 3 combination shots given that day. And I'm not sure if you have seen, listeners out there and viewers out there, if you've seen the last episode, we talked about this briefly. But anyway, I remember that day, he seemed really inconsolable. was a really good-natured baby, and he never cried really ever about anything really, except for when he fell down and hurt himself or something, you know. But pardon, nothing, you know, out of the ordinary. And that day, I remember he was just so upset, and he kept putting his hands like this, and then he'd cry, put his hands like this. I thought that was really weird. I'm not gonna get teared up. Anyway, so I gave him Tylenol. That's what they told me to do. Give him Tylenol. Oh, okay. So I did. Many times. And fast forward to then when he is 4.5 and going into pre-kindergarten. Well, they screened him and they said potentially that he looks like he might have ADHD, that he should possibly be watched over to see if he should be screened. And I was like, okay. Well, I kind of just let that go, you know, let it put it in the back folder, you know, and went on with the day. Well, in school, what did I do here? In school, let's see, there we go. Sorry, I pushed a button. In school, he had a very difficult time keeping focused on things, and so we did, you know, the task management, the fidget spinners, the ways to bring attention back to himself, all these things. Eventually, if you're a parent of this, you know what I'm talking about. It led into investigations, IEPs, 504 plans, to where the child was more accountable for their actions and production in class, you know. Eventually leading to a diagnosis, fast forward many years, about 1.5 years ago, which we kind of knew anyway from our local public school system. They did a diagnosis, but to do an official one, we got one about 1.5 years ago. And so my son does have ADHD and autism level 1, if you want to put a label on a person, which I don't feel like is the right way to do, but for lack of better explanation at this moment, those would be the diagnoses. And I fully believe it, in my opinion, traces back to that original day when he was so inconsolable. Learning now all the things I've learned and all the things and the way they went in progression. I didn't know that I needed to check to see if my son could detoxify. I didn't know that was a thing. If I had known, I certainly would have never done what I did. So there's a little bit of fear you can hear in that, but that's only because I've overcame the shame of doing that. I didn't know any better, you know. Anyway, so parents out there, don't ever guilt yourself for something you didn't know.
Absolutely.
That was one lesson I really had to go through. You know, it wasn't my fault. I was just doing what I was told to do, right? Parents, don't we all kind of feel that way? Yeah.
Well, shit, dude. I mean, it's like many parents who've been told, specifically with the COVID vaccines and stuff like that, we were told blatantly that you're like damn near a domestic terrorist if you didn't get the COVID shot. But then there's all sorts of kids with like Bell's palsy and myocarditis and tachycardia and like paralyzation and like a whole slew of effects. And from Pfizer's own data, like a lot of those things, own data, a lot of those symptoms and everything skyrocketed by not 100%, but like 200, 500, 700% over the last few years. And yeah, we are gaslighted into believing that we're doing the best thing for our kids and for ourselves, when in reality it's just in the best interest of what makes people money. So it's a difficult thing to not beat yourself up over, but if you didn't know better, you didn't know better. And if you were coerced, you were coerced, you know?
Well, yeah, and I mean, and then the fear sets in, and then the anger sets in. And then the solutions come. And there's a lot of them. A lot of solutions are detox, detox, detox. You know? We're not doing these children are beautiful, lovely souls. They just need detox. You know, and that's still very questionable, still a big, huge argument whether detoxification actually works, but I can tell you in my son's journey, it has worked. I can't say every single case every single person on this earth, but I can say a good majority probably would highly benefit from detoxification. And there's a way you can
I
do
agree.
it, and gentle, you know.
Yeah, we're one of the few countries that doesn't regularly detox. Like almost not every other country, but many other countries, they have specific protocols where either monthly or at least once a year they'll do like a deworm detox or heavy metal detox or something like that because they know. And
yeah, no, it's true.
a lot of those countries also highly on like herbal remedy and yeah, so I agree that detoxing is major, and it's not something that I heard of until I was like 25, which is crazy. That's shows how well buried a lot of this.
So, yeah, my son used to use stimming behaviors in elementary school. He's now completing junior high, but in elementary, 4th, 5th, and 6th, he used to do this a lot, and tiptoe walk a lot. And those are called stimming activities, and they help regulate your nervous system if you have any autistic overload. And so we got him from doing that with just clinoptopolite zeolite spray and drops. Using that for 2 years, we got rid of that. It's gone. Gone. So I know for sure it works. The teachers of those schools know it works, right? I had teachers calling and asking what we were doing. And of course I shared the information, you know, but like, for example, that thing you played, Marcus, about the ADHD medication. Okay, well, you know, there's many now double-blind placebo studies, you know, peer-reviewed, accreditable, PubMed, so forth, things like that, that shows saffron, for example, is equally as effective on almost all ADHDs. There's 7 different varieties of ADHD, and except for I think 1. But anyway, it works equally as well as methylprednisolone and Adderall and Ritalin, basically. Yeah, the top 2 prescribed medications. So if you think about saffron, it works equally as well for 85% of the people. That's a pretty good piece of knowledge right there, right? Now today they make gummies for kids that have saffron. They have saffron, lemon basil, holy basil, lemon balm, things like that. So you could always start treating your child, detoxification, of course, and you could treat with herbs also at the same time. They have equally, if not better, effects than the medications they're currently taking.
Fasting also works as well. When you fast, it helps to boost your immune system, because your body is paying more attention to healing itself as opposed to breaking down the foods in your body. So, or food, drug, well, everything. So, I mean, if you can include maybe a fasting routine along with the detoxification, it could give you a great approval rate of your health.
Mm-hmm. So,
and it doesn't have to be like months at a time, like that type of fasting, just like maybe a couple hours or even maybe 1 or 2 days a week. So it doesn't have to be like something like extensive like the Buddhists do and all that.
Yeah, so the way we did it was we did these. There's a company called The Good Inside. I forget their Essential Organics or something like that. Anyway, thegoodinside.com. Anyways, they have a spray and a drops, and it's clinoptopolite, which is a very interesting word to spell. Clinoptopolite zeolite, and the drops that go underneath the tongue. That's to get rid of the metals and the stuff like that. The drops are to get rid of the glyphosate and the extra things that shouldn't be in the gut. And so we did that. Like I did that for my son before he went to school. when he came home and before bed. And in between those times, he had herbs. And so what we did, how do you give kids like that at that age herbs on the fly without making them a cup of tea, right? Well, you give them a glycerate, which is similar to a tincture. It's just a kid version because there's no alcohol. So what you do is you get one of those little, those 5-hour energy shot type bottles, those little tiny ones. And then you fill it with juice, like, or tea or not water, something else, right? Something a little bit more soft for them. And then you put in a droppers full of this glycerate, and then they drink it whenever, before lunch or whatever, before playground time, whatever. And that's how you can give your kid herbs successfully, and they'll be happy to drink them, So that's what we did, and it works.
I think that's a pretty sound advice, Sarah.
Well, okay, and I also know one of his BFFs, he does the pharmaceutical route, no judgment. He's spent the night over here before. And so when he gets up, within a half an hour, I must give him this pill. Before lunch, I have to give him a pill. He gets one in the afternoon and then one before bed. 4 a day, every day. He's the same age as my son. That's so he can eat and sleep and not have ADHD. That's a lot to me, in my opinion. So
very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that was very, very, very sound solutions and advice. Thank you for that. And I also want to say too that I think it's important, and I'm not a parent myself, but I'm around a lot of children, especially in this community, and I tend to have a pretty positive impact on the children that I'm around. And one thing that I've always kind of remembered within myself, especially because I have a healthy inner child, is to remember to not be so direct and so logical based about explaining and creating this process with our children. Because the children, it's very hard for them to have that solid analytical, logical common sense of why they should or shouldn't be consuming or touching or interacting with something. So, if we're just right from the get-go, snapping, getting all hard at them, getting angry, without even giving them the opportunity to have a sense of awareness to be able to pick up the information, you may have to think about the way that you're approaching it. Are you allowing this to be a process where a child can actually understand the language that you're trying to articulate to them? And that's where creativity has to come in, as well as playfulness and fun, and making it to where it could be constructive, but maybe also hands-on, and also a story or a way of bringing a unveiling to them in a way that they can truly understand.
Yeah.
But it's super key that we do educate our children on these things as well too. But just having the right approach and knowing that they're children that don't have